pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can you take roll, Mary?
Murray? Here. Grimby?
Here.
Getzinger?
Here.
Patrick?
Yep.
Swacky here.
Approval of our June 8th regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve June 8th regular minutes as presented.
Support.
Support.
Any conversation,
Okay.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then approval of our June 23rd election commission meeting.
Motion to approve June 23rd election commission meeting minutes as presented.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Set and amend the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda to work from. Bills?
Any questions? Nope. I'll make a motion to approve the previously paid fire bills, $28,865.60. General, $6,315.63. Payroll, fire, $67,436.20. General, $21,638.86. Current open invoices, fire, $6,889.77. General, $27,084.23. Tax disbursements, $62,312.71. Trust and agency paid out, $2,600, no open, for a total of $223,143 even. Murray?
Yes.
Swag, yes. Parrick?
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Grimby?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bills paid. Public comments?
Hi, yes, may I speak, John?
Yes, you may, Marcia.
Hi, my name is Marcia Hollins. I live at 20120 Armada Ridge Road. I am asking for your support as I am running for precinct delegate. As you know, we have a split ticket. Either you vote Democratic or Republican. I'm running for Democratic precinct delegate. I just want to tell you what a precinct delegate does. Precinct delegates have some very important responsibilities in state and local politics. Precinct delegates attend county and state conventions once during non-presidential election years and twice during presidential election years. At county conventions, county party officers are elected, along with the selecting delegates to the state convention. Delegates to the state conventions have a great deal of power at the state conventions. Those delegates to the state conventions select district officers, state primary officers, nominees for lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, Supreme Court, U of M regents, Wayne State Board of Governors, MSU trustees, State Board of Education, district officers, and also vote on resolutions for current issues. The reason why precinct delegates are important is because to either party, either party movement, they decide who will run the state party and who many of our nominees for statewide elections will be. I just want to let you all know, my name is Marcia Hollins. I am a write-in candidate for the Democratic precinct delegate, and I solicit your support during this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.
Monica?
Okay, I received a call and a visit a few weeks ago from a woman who, one of our senior citizens, and it was very disturbing. She had called up here. She has not voted in person in years. So she called to find out where does she vote. She thought, like, she hasn't voted in person since Precinct 1 voted up here. The woman that she talked to said, well, you just go to the admin building. Anybody who grew up here, they don't call it that. It's an old elementary school. So she asked, she goes, well, I don't know where that is. Where is that? What's the address? Whoever she was talking to, and I have a good idea who it was, thought she had put the call on hold, had not put it on hold, and the woman proceeded to tell her, to go in in a rage, saying how sick she is of the stupid effing voters, and on, not once, not twice, several times. This person contacted the state rep, was told to contact Jim or I, since I come to the meetings all the time. And I just think that you guys all need to remember you are public servants. You work for the people that voted you in, and to be talked to like that, when the woman finally got the information from the clerk, it got the address of where she needed to go and vote. She told us, she goes, "I'm not a stupid effing voter." The woman, the clerk said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I've had a really bad day." It was 9 o'clock in the morning. That is uncalled for, absolutely uncalled for. Secondly, I was at last week's planning commission meeting, and to find out that you are still on that committee, I just find it craziness. You are the reason that we lost Powell Road. All of you blamed Don Brown. You've had 17 years while you were wheeling and dealing with Bruce Township. You had an opportunity to get with the Old Village Council. They were willing to do an interlocal governmental agreement for years, like a 20-year interlocal governmental agreement. A new village council got elected. We lost that opportunity, and now here we are. Our industrial district was annexed to Romeo. Jim was sitting on that committee with Steve. He's got the background for that kind of infrastructure that would be needed. Why was he replaced and you put back on? It makes no sense to me. I would recommend that it be Sarah and Jim. Thank you for your time.
Are there any other public comments? Hearing none. Move on to correspondence and information. Our Armada Historical Society.
Actually, they're not here. I just put this in the correspondence
I saw that,
information
right.
because they're looking for photos from the tornado from last year. And if anybody has any, they can take it to the We the People at 23010 East Main Street on Sunday, July 24th from 1 to 4 p.m.
And they want them printed, not electronic, it sounds like.
I believe so.
Yeah, in here, the last paragraph says print them off your phone, get them from your neighbors or your mom and bring them to us, so I'm assuming they want things printed and digital.
May not have a printer.
Yeah, I was just surprised by that.
And then Consumers Energy.
Yep, I got an email from Lauren from Consumers Energy. She tries to keep us updated on anything that happens at the site. She sent me a flyer, which there's some in the back there, that they're going to be performing natural gas site maintenance from July through October, and that any concerns can be emailed to Elisa Kurchina, Kurchina, at cmsenergy.com.
Is there any other correspondence? Fire Department, Chief?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for report of June. We responded to 49 EMS runs, 14 fire, totaling 63. Our overlapping calls were just under 10%. Our average response time for EMS was 5 minutes 15 seconds. For fire was 6 minutes and 47 seconds. A few updates. We are coming to the very end of the process with Contact to go full dispatch. We have a meeting at the end of this month for the kickoff. A lot of the delay was it had to go through several series of meetings with the county commissioners. We're at the point now that by the end of the month we're ready to kick it off. I spoke with West Shore, which is going to be the supplier of the tornado sirens and the installer. They will be out next month to start spotting it. They're still waiting on some equipment, and they're hoping in September to have all of them installed. I repeat the dates. Also, we got notification of the approval for the generator for the senior center. That has been ordered, and that's probably going to take about 6 months to go. Any questions?
Just have one question with the new communication channel that was approved from last month. The
sorry?
communications,
Yes.
the radios. Is the goal to get them in place before the fair
It
coming
would
up?
be great. To be honest, what's gonna change is how we're dispatched, how we're notified. For the fair, a lot of what we do is actually in person talking to each other. We're hoping that it's gonna be in place by then. The only thing that may not be done is the infrastructure and the station notification system. But we'll be on at that point, we'll have them fully dispatching and keeping track and doing all that. So hopefully, yes. Long story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. 77-955 K-Pac Road, we have outside storage, building materials and shipping containers. Property owner is required, was notified that tree plantings along the north property line had to be complete per the consent judgment, and it's still not complete. 75-700 North Avenue, possible fence ordinance, still waiting for administrative review. 2077932 Mile Road, permits were pulled by the property owner at the request of the building inspector. Property was verified and that the construction was not in the right of way. Final inspection completed on 7/6/22, complaint closed.
I have a comment for you on the possible fence ordinance from the planning commission. They have determined that perhaps this particular, ordinance would not be fitting for the administrative review. So they're
Particular ordinance.
declining the fence violation on North Avenue. They
Okay,
are
it's-
declining to,
The
they
planner
wanna be
originally
passed-
said it could be done administratively. And now the
just
planner says
passing
it's different.
on what I was told as the
Okay.
liaison, but yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Planning commission?
We met last week. Everybody was present. We opened the public hearing for the rezoning of the Armada Center Car Wash. The property owner, lessee, and his attorney were present for questions. A community member asked about, she is a neighbor of the car wash. She asked some questions, they were answered. She stated she has a very good relationship with the owner, lessee, and didn't have any other concerns. Another community member asked when the property was changed from B1 to B2. DJ responded, that it was about 2006 with the former planner. That seems to be moving forward. There is a recommendation that it come to the board. It was unanimously approved by the commission. There were also bits of reports and correspondence that were given, including discussion about Blake's site plans, Ackett's fence issue not being a good choice for administrative review, as this particular issue seems to be a bit convoluted for an easy decision. I agreed to bring that information to the Board of Trustees, which I did tonight. We also had a master plan discussion at my request regarding our industrial and commercial quarters to see if there was any interest by the commission to discuss this further, considering the recent annexation, as well as taking steps to control further development in a positive way for the township. There was a lot of discussion on the water sewer issue. The planning commission expressed a desire to also work with the county, however, that's not feasible, and I will report back to the commission regarding the sewer issue meetings with the county as it becomes available. We also talked about, continued talk on current ordinance updates. With regard to small-scale entertainment, it's finally ready for a clean copy after a year and a half. Discussion on attached garage size limitations, including the fact that the current proposal is actually much smaller than is realistic. That'll probably be a few more meetings. Second homes on property took on a new direction. That will be coming back to PC again, so that will continue beyond a year and a half discussion. The zoning districts and use tables seems to be moving forward, could be included in the next public hearing. And DJ thanked Christine for all she's done for planning over the years, and we all wished her well on the next endeavor, and the meeting adjourned at 8:42.
Thank you very much. Our monthly building report for the month of June. We issued a permit for one deck, 2 demolitions, 1 pole barn, 2 additions and miscellaneous, 2 homes, 1 pool, 1 porch, 3 electrical, 8 mechanical, 2 plumbing, for a total of
Actually, there's a total of 24 permits.
and the building inspections were 52. Going back PDR, saw a letter that said not too much had changed. An email, but no new information with that.
And that's their treasurer's report.
Parks and Recreation, June events, ABA Round Robin, ABA Anarchy in Armada, ASEP Softball begins June 30th. Water samples were sent in for the second quarter testing, results not yet returned. Working on ideas to upgrade for 2023. Replace the park entrance. Thanks, Gary Dell, Armada Township Director. And our June senior report, exercise in Tai Chi every Wednesday and Thursday, 8 attended. June 6th, dessert day at Ackett's, 14 attended. Also last, June 13th, local lunchtime square in Romeo, great food, good service, 15 attended. Bingo June 14th, 7th, 21st. Potluck is served by all. Everyone has fun, 22 per bingo. On 6/15, Euchre, 24 attended. Everyone had a great time. June 20th, soup and sandwiches, 5 attended. June 27th, mystery lunch, good food, 25 attended. And June 30th, we had an art class. Thank you very much, Donna, for your report. No updates on water and sewer. New numbers have been turned in to the county and their engineer's spec based on new numbers we got from Spalding New Decker. Macomb Orchard Trail, no information. Senior Treasurer.
You have, most of the treasurer's report came in your packet. One of the banking institutions did not have their statements ready until Saturday. I came in and got them and took care of the rest of it. I did want to let you know that effective July 1st, our everyday business checking and savings accounts should be receiving a higher rate of interest than they've previously been getting. I received a call from the bank, and at no cost to the township, and with no need for changing accounting practices, numbers, checks, etc. The township accounts will be classified as public funds, which gets a higher rate of return than the business accounts they have been set up as. We also have a CD that is maturing on Friday, and we will be reinvesting that in a different arena. And then it's not really treasure, but I attended an MTA classes on Monday and Tuesday. And my report on that, I took a lot of notes. It was a great classes. It was so nice to actually be able to network with real live people.
What was the class about?
Monday's class was called Defining Your Township's Land Use Future. It was taught by Steve Langworthy, who is the author of all the township guides to planning and zoning. A lot of great information. How do we see our township looking, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. Different aspects about renewing commission members. All zoning bodies, the ZBA, PC, and Board of Trustees should all be on the same page, all get minutes of all the meetings, so we're all together. Setting and implementing land use policies is kind of like creating a master plan puzzle. There was just a lot of information, a lot of really good discussion. And then Tuesday's class was on strategic planning for townships, and it was taught by Susan Rodwin, who is the owner of Leading Edge Mentoring. And just a basic discussion was, the strategic planning is very different from master planning. Strategic planning is more like, flying up in a helicopter and looking at the whole view instead of just driving down the street and seeing what you see, where you can take into account what other communities are doing, what other landforms there are that may be impacting our roads, our traffic, our infrastructure. what are our strengths and weaknesses, what can we do to, create a better, environment for our residents and everything. So it was a really good class, so I'm glad I, took the time and went up there and took part in that. It was really good.
I should bring that back. And it was Choice One that contacted you about the interest.
It was.
Internet Subcommittee.
We have not met as a subcommittee. However, we did meet last week, with the county and people from Comcast and other municipalities, and just trying to see where we're going in the direction, or how we can get the rest of our township covered, what the other townships need to get covered. Bruce Township is also sorely lacking in broadband service, and some of the other townships mostly are covered, but have some pockets that are not covered, and what we need to do to kind of bring us all together. My goal, obviously you all know, is to get this township covered completely and out of the black hole. So we're working on that, and I've been emailing the director that I worked with on the first grant and giving her some other information, some people that are still looking for information on why they're being, told they have to pay X amount of dollars to hook up when they're new builds, and just, we still have some issues with, obviously, with connectivity, so we're working on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Cyber Subcommittee.
Actually, that is on our agenda for tonight.
Moved out of committee.
Yeah,
Getting close.
I'll make a motion to receive and file reports.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unfinished business, residential solid waste collection.
Since the last meeting, I guess as a refresher, we've had two meetings with waste haulers. So first one was Priority Waste, second was with GFL, to ask them questions. This has been a long process. I get that. I feel like it's been kind of slow recently, but I feel like it's important that we're all on the same page before we prepare any specs to put out for bids, and make sure that we have the best package we could put forward for the residents to consider. And representation from the village and the township was there at both of those meetings. And the few questions that I had, and I've provided the board, it does have meeting minutes from both of those meetings, where I attempted to summarize the discussion we had, questions we asked, and the responses we received. So a few questions I had, I was hoping as a board we could just briefly get some input on before we talk to our attorney and help kind of prepare specs. One had to do with fuel surcharges. The waste haulers, they've answered a little differently, but it appeared to me that there was a recommendation that we have some sort of language in there for a fuel surcharge. GFL, their opinion was we should be specific. Given the climate we're in now, I think it would be in the township's interest to include a fuel surcharge, because it may go down, whereas if we don't have language where they're required to set some sort of baseline, that they'll probably bid that high, be conservative in their estimates when they bid a 5-year contract. So does the board have any opinions on, including language for a fuel surcharge adjustment in the contract, or would you prefer it be simply that they bid their price for 5 years and it is what it is?
I would think a fuel surcharge would be something they would do through billing to the customer.
Well, if we're signing a contract,
All we would have to do is allow for whether they do or not, it's really out of our control.
well, it was recommended by our attorney that we have some sort, if we do that, we have to have some sort of criteria or baseline consumer price index type thing, so that there's justification for any increase that they would propose, or decrease.
That was gonna be my question, because I was not able to make the last meeting with GFL, but with that also, once the price, you give
So if we
somebody a surcharge, how likely are they to say, oh, we're not using
Yeah.
it, let's give
Well,
it
if we
back
have
to you?
if we have an index, if it's based on an index, and there is not offhand, it's in the minutes, some sort of, the government has an index. If we use that, and that index goes down, then the fuel surcharge would be, reduced X dollars or cents per unit, per quarter kind of thing. Next, it seemed pretty clear to me that there's really no value in bidding the, having the village and the township bid those together. I know we tried very hard to do that, thinking there would be. It appears that the village, it may not be a benefit to the village because their density is higher, the township's unit prices, we don't have the exact same contract. We could, we both have to approve the contract. That makes it kind of muddy. You know, we're not all on the same page. It's possible they bid it and one wants to award it to one and then the other. They did say you could potentially bid them at the same time and have some sort of add, alternate, or deduct, I guess, that would say if awarded both contracts, you know, will reduce the price X kind of thing. But it's, if the village has about 700 and the township has about 700 units, say, then they need one truck per, they're not gonna get it all done in one day. So they said there's really not gonna be a savings because we're gonna have to have 2 trucks, you know, 2 crew days, if you will. So it's combining them.
Doesn't have any.
It really wasn't gonna save anybody any money in their opinion, so kind of made it very convoluted to try to combine them, complicated, was our attorney's opinion, so it'd be my opinion that we bid it. We can certainly work with and communicate with the village and assist them and, you know, get their input, but I think we should just bid it separately. Would you guys like to try to include some sort of language for a deduction if the same waste hauler is approved for both, or not even do that?
I think, I mean, it's not a bad idea, but would that muddy the waters even more because then now you're,
Oh, man, that's pretty great.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was another thing. They said if you make the bid documents too complicated, it's confusing, that can
See,
negatively
there's
impact
too
your
many
price.
contingencies, right, to get
Right.
So it's
a
kinda
bottom
simple.
price.
Okay.
And not only just, I mean, not just that, it's like they're not gonna bid.
Mhm.
This is like just too messed up, they're just not
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah,
it.
and I agree with that. I apologize, but I just think it's important. I'd like to ask these questions.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Wheeled containers. What is the board's general opinion on wheeled containers? Requiring them, like making them mandatory? Some residents like them. Should we have a unit price where you can purchase a wheeled container?
I thought one of them required it. Was it GFL that required
Well,
a wheel container?
none of them actually required it.
It's
They
easier
s-
to unload, you only need one guy.
They
Right.
did talk about that complicates it. They go, if you're just allowing a wheeled container only, nothing else, nothing next to it, then there's a benefit to using the wheeled containers because they can send one guy. Problem is, especially if this is new to the township, they're gonna end up with stuff outside of the container, and that
That's
creates
something
problems. So they're
that's
not
gonna
picking that
require a
up now,
second.
so that may be, it would be my opinion, because I do like the wheeled container, that you don't require it, you have an additional price to, say, purchase a wheeled container if you choose, but you don't have to. And if we find that everybody, the majority like that, then maybe when we do a new contract, we would consider making it mandatory at that point. That would be my opinion. I don't know if the rest of the board supports that approach.
You know, it's interesting, what is the type of feedback that the companies are giving us in this regard? Because some trucks only take certain containers, right? Just the way their mechanisms
They're
work.
hooked up to-
Where they're hooked up.
Well, it was really a level, it all came down to level of service. And to me, Priority and GFL were actually fairly different in a lot of their answers. I think they prefer the cart because it's easier, but unless the township's gonna enforce, you know, if we're gonna take a hard line on a lot of stuff, then may make it easier for the waste hauler, but it may not get support from the residents is the concern.
Right,
So,
okay.
again, that's why my opinion would be, we kind of make it somewhat open-ended, or, I don't wanna say à la carte, but we wanna try to keep costs down. That's the only reason that I'm pursuing this, is believing it's gonna help our residents. So if we start adding things that ultimately they're gonna raise the price of the contract because it's not, because they don't wanna not pick stuff up, that's the concern. Are we prepared to deal with resident complaints when the waste hauler didn't pick up something because our contract was so narrow in its scope that they don't pick that up?
I guess I personally, I mean, I see the advantage to having the wheeled cart. And they're nice, it's just easy, because when you're driving up and down the driveway, you can just stick your arm up, take it up or down, or what, I mean, if it's, to demand that the residents get this or not get, I mean, I think going to a single waste hauler is a big enough change, that if we say, okay, we're going to a single waste hauler, you have to use this company, and oh, by the way, you have to buy this can, and, you know, I think that's kind of a lot, and I think that's a overreach.
Okay, then I think we should work to have an optional price, and we'll have some language that the waste hauler that we're contracted with essentially maintains them, because both seem to imply that they would maintain the carts, they have inventory for that, so you're not dealing with
Right.
broken carts.
And a lot of people may really like that and not mind spending X amount of money or whatever, and but I don't think that's
I mean, I find
our
it's-
place to say you have to have that.
Who knows where the prices will come in. What about the opting out? Again, they both differed a little bit in their response. How complicated that is, if there's GPS or there's a list of customers who aren't participating. And it didn't seem to be a big problem. GFL's concern appeared to be, we just need to know how we're bidding, how many are going to sign up, because it needs to be, we need to have an accurate number to give you an accurate price.
I don't think from the feedback that I've gotten from people, there have been a couple people that said they wanted to opt out and they wanted to make sure that that was an option, or hope that that would be an option. But out of all of the surveys and all of the people that I've talked to, it literally has not been more than one or two people. So are there more? Possibly. I'm not saying those
Yeah.
are the only two people in the township, but
I think price probably would be the limiting factor without knowing what that price is. You may not have anybody, opting out. But if the price is large enough, you might have a large audience that wants to opt out. So it's kind of a tricky wording on how you're gonna put it in your proposal, so.
Well,
And we can't guarantee a minimum resident number.
no, but I have seen a lot of very positive feedback. People are very anxious
For
to
sure.
have a single waste
again,
hauler.
being a new contract, in my opinion, I don't wanna force people to sign up. I think in time they'll see the value.
But what
It'd be
we,
my opinion that we say, you can
know,
opt out.
uniformity, I think, was in the response, we all wanted the same day, we wanted, so
Well,
you
there's.
don't
you
have
can't
multiple
use another
trucks
waste
all over the
hauler.
So you can't,
even
yeah,
if you
so if you opt
out,
out, you
it's
can't
still
go somewhere,
uniform.
right.
Right.
You can go to transfer site maybe, but
Or to
Well,
your
the
office.
people that,
Considering that stays open.
considering that
Right.
stays open, right?
yeah, because that may not stay open, especially after last weekend's antics, but, but the people that I've talked to that that they wanted the option to opt out, they take their garbage to their place of employment or business that they own or whatever, and so that literally was the only two people that had said anything, so.
Okay, so, maybe this should have been a workshop question, but so I apologize, but what's the consensus? Again, I'm gonna have a hard time supporting a contract that requires everybody to sign up, so it'd be my opinion that we leave the opt-out. Again, understanding they can't use another waste hauler curbside anyway,
So you want them to have the ability to
I-
opt out, just not be able to use?
somebody else, it's
Somebody
still a
else.
single waste hauler. yeah.
Okay.
The delinquent billing, I know this was,
Yeah, they
Very
just take that
divided.
right off the list. Ain't gonna
Okay.
happen.
okay. I mean, our attorney and the waste haulers were pretty clear that having the township collect delinquent bills was significant as far as cost savings, but from an administrative,
Yeah. Both Joe in the village and I've talked to a lot of other municipalities, and they absolutely do not do it. They don't wanna do it. They are not doing it either, so. We're not a savings and loan, and it's just not, we don't have the staffing.
and Mary,
Also.
so you don't
I
support
don't-
delinquent?
no.
John, do you have an opinion?
I'm gonna go with,
All right.
it's her job. That's what she does.
Okay,
I pick the garbage up. I don't bill for delinquent bills.
all right, so then, real quick, the last two, again, I apologize. municipal dumpsters, should we include a unit price to allow the township to have a, option, or should we just do that completely separate? It's a very
My-
small
It'll
item,
be
but just,
separate, but if they can give us a better deal, I don't know.
we would just
Yeah.
reach out to them
Separate,
after we get a
separate.
contract and potentially
Yeah, maybe
As far
do
as
that
municipal
separate.
dumpsters go, you can quote that from anybody, because it's
Yeah.
not part of the
Okay.
Right,
residential waste.
this was
Yeah.
All right.
specifically
When
for
we add MGM,
residential.
We can get waste management, whoever comes to the
Yep,
table.
all right, good point, I won't even include that in there. And then large items, so one thing was it one item? Is it three? Do we have them explain their large item policy as part of the evaluation?
I would let them explain it. Typically, most waste haulers will take like one large item
The,
per week.
the good point we had at the last meeting with GFL was, they essentially do unlimited, knowing that residents usually have nothing, or they have a whole living room. So
Right.
by allowing unlimited, it's not every house every week, but they are able to get rid of everything right away
Unless there's
versus,
another massive sale at a furniture store
yeah,
or something.
versus, limiting it to one item, and now you're
Having to pick it up
storing,
for 3 months.
yeah, you're storing it for so long.
Yeah.
So that was, I thought, a good point.
Mhm.
But we could, maybe have a requirement of at least one item per week, but explaining that they need to explain their policy, maybe, how we can try to word that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, again, I apologize, but that's all I had, thank you. The intention would be before the next meeting, hopefully we're able to meet with our attorney and have
And
a
you have an
draft
RFP
bid
language,
spec.
yeah, absolutely, we need to
Perfect.
get this moving along.
MC annual dues.
Annual dues for June 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 23 are $6,653.02. The legal defense fund is another $199.59, which we usually include. So I'll make a motion to approve the annual dues for $6,852.61, which includes the $199.59 for legal defense fund.
I support. I know I contact MTA often,
They're valuable stores.
yeah,
Marie?
yes.
Swack, yes. Getzner?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yep.
Grimby?
Yes.
Resignation, building and planning. Zoning administrator. Dear John and Mel, I would like to resign my position as building administrator, planning and zoning administrator with Armada Township to leave July 9th, 2022. I would like to take this opportunity to say that making this decision has been difficult, as work at Armada Township has been, for the most part, a positive experience and one that I am grateful. I have enjoyed my immediate job and have enjoyed working with the other colleagues, my other colleagues. However, I am excited about the new position I am undertaking. I am cautious and conscious and need to support the building and planning department until my departure, and I will until my departure date. I wish Armada Township every success in the future, and thank you for the opportunities I have been given during my time here. Sincerely, Christine White.
I'll make a motion to accept Christine White's resignation with regrets.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
11B, payout of unused vacation days. Christine White has 16 unused vacation days. 16 times 6 is 96 hours. Pay amount is 96 at $25.21 an hour, which is $2,420. However, her employment contract does say it's prorated, and being that she resigned her position in the first quarters, we're obligated for those days. Today, it wasn't in my mailbox this morning when I came in and went through my packet here, 2:30. Our 3 employment, vacation, and personal day vouchers that all done in the same pen for 5 hours for personal time, 3.5 hours for personal time, and 6 hours for personal time. When I know for certain she's missed whole days. I know for certain she was in Bruce Township training.
Those
I
were
talked with Mike
those were
Philbrook.
personal days, weren't they, that she's noted on there?
What's that?
Those-
These are all personal days.
And she's allowed 3 full personal days, I believe.
Yeah, for the year.
Right.
Okay, she left in the first quarter.
Yeah, she can use those anytime. Even their vacation, she could have used all 16 days.
And I didn't read the contract recently, but are they, supervisors are saying they're
Contract-
prorated, so
prorated,
she
yeah.
does, she's not actually entitled to 100% at least payout if she leaves?
It's prorated based on when she leaves during the term. And it's entitled to 4 hours or 4 days of vacation. And I read it as being 1 day of personal time, but
Well, I was gonna go for it. I'll make the motion to pay Christine out her 96 hours at a cost of $24,2016. And actually, I did talk to Christine Anderson. She said it is up to the board. It's hard, I'm not sure how to prorate it, because even Christine could have already taken all of her vacation days. That's just where I'm going with that. I did talk to Christine Anderson. So,
you made a motion?
Yep.
Is there support? Hearing no support, motion fails, lack of support.
no problem.
So is it appropriate to, would you like to make a motion?
Well, with the information provided today, we have 6, 11, 14 and a half hours of personal time. I say we allow those personal time hours to be used, and they're based on the proration of her vacation pay, which is the 4 days. And we'll have to actually do the math on that to tell you exactly how much she's gonna be paid out, but that's why there was an employment agreement, so the employee knew what she was getting in the township, knew what it was.
Like I said, she could have already used them all. Prorated.
I understand the feeling, but I also understand the reality of the contract was to protect both of us, her and us. So we'll go based on the contract, using the information that I received today on her personal time, and pay her for her fair share on a proration of the first quarter.
So, quick math, 4 days, 6 hours a day, that is $605.04, if my math's correct.
Yeah, and again, not all of her personal time is used up here too, so, you know, there may be some loose change. I
Gotcha.
don't wanna jump to a number. Once we put it together based on her employment contract, we'll have a final figure, to approve at the next board meeting.
It's the right thing to do.
And if
I agree
the
with that.
board agrees with that, then once we do get the math straightened out and set it, we will cut her a check and let it go. We won't wait till next month to pay her. So,
I agree, there's a contract, which means there's a formula,
Yeah.
it just means there's facts, so I'm sure between you and Melanie can support all the claims of the
and
days
Mary
and the hours.
as well, we'll work together, absolutely. So I guess the motion would be to,
Table till next meeting.
Yeah.
Is that your motion, John?
what's that?
To table till next meeting.
No, I'm making a motion to pay Christine White, based on her, employment, contract with the township, using 4 vacation days and her personal hours that she's turned in, and what's due to her, we'll cut a check for her.
I'll second that.
Go ahead and run it.
Okay, Murray?
Yes.
Swayze, no. Peter?
Yep,
Grimby?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
thank you. We go to our fire department, resignation. Chief?
We were notified from Devin Murray that he wanted to pursue his career and move on to a department that was his dream. I personally want to thank Devin for his years of service. He, albeit the most unique guy I think we've ever met, He gave everything we've ever asked. Whenever times were tough, he'd be there to help. Whenever, there was time to do the work most didn't want to, he'd step up and do it. Incredible paramedic, great firefighter, and he will be missed.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion to accept Deb Murray's resignation with regrets.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Devin, wishing you the best in the future. Definitely. New full-time hire?
For today is a request to hire Curtis Kennedy as a firefighter. Throughout my career, I have seen a lot of firefighters hired and retired, and I have to stand before you today. This is probably one of my favorites hirings ever. Curtis has been with the fire department for 4 years, about a year longer than me. He has always brought his A game. Anytime I've ever needed this kid, he was there. I picked up on the phone, hey, we need you to come in, he's there. I think he was mortified when he had to say he couldn't make it. Raise the hands, how many people are here for Curtis? I mean, he probably only paid a couple of them, but still. He's a great kid. We are so fortunate to be able to get him. We interviewed him in 2019. We kind of held back and waited until he got his paramedic license. Currently, he meets all the requirements, has all the certifications. He will be an incredible addition to this fire department, and I ask you today for your approval to hire.
I'll make a motion to hire Curtis Kennedy, full-time firefighter paramedic, effective June 10th, 2022, July 10th, 2022, at a starting wage of $16.48.
Support.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Who wants it?
It doesn't make a difference.
Okay. So I can, yes, Patrick?
Yep.
Murray?
Yes.
Kirby?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Welcome aboard,
Welcome
Curtis.
aboard.
Chief?
We're going to take the opportunity to swear him in. One of the traditions I always believe in is it's an honor for him to be able to pick somebody who's very special in his life to pin him. I don't think it should be someone like me. He got where he is for a very particular reason, and that proud moment is for Dad.
I, Bruce Kennedy,
Being duly sworn,
being duly sworn,
disposed to say
depose and say
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the ordinances of Armada Township,
and the ordinances of Ormond Township,
and I will endeavor to secure and maintain
and I will endeavor to secure and maintain
an honest and efficient administration
an honest and efficient administration
of the affairs of Armada Township,
of the affairs of Ormond Township,
free from partisan control,
free of partisan control,
and I will faithfully, and I will fulfill the responsibilities of
and I will faithfully fulfill the responsibilities of
Armada Township firefighter paramedic
Ormond Township firefighter paramedic
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Good to have you on board.
Congratulations.
It's a great sound from here. Congratulations. Good things do happen, isn't that something?
Sometimes.
That's cool. Resolution for ballot language, advanced life support. Chief?
Where do you go?
Code on, code off, code on, code off.
Sorry, that had to happen. For those that are here, for Curtis, you'll know obligation.
Quite a family. Quite a family.
Today, I stand
Thank you,
before you.
everybody, for coming.
Oops.
Oh, you're welcome.
And some noise from the.
We're lucky to have them.
Us too.
Run with it, yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this the part where the class and we tell them to come forward? No.
We come in front of you today to discuss the renewal of the ALS millage. It was put in place in 2013. One of the main reasons was to provide equipment and staffing for our paramedic units. Today, we currently have 4 individuals on duty each day. 3 of them are paramedics, and 1 is an EMT. We staff 1 ambulance with an EMT and a paramedic, and then an engine, which is an ALS engine, with 2 paramedics. That's 4 per day. If an ambulance call comes in, we have the ability to have those 2 individuals with the engine as needed respond to the call. If that ambulance is gone, we still have in reserve 2 paramedics to take the next call if it does come in. That's what we're reduced to. If that call is any severity whatsoever, we have 2 individuals. Because we do not have a contract police force here, that's what they're getting. Back in the day, we used to have a pretty significant paid-on-call response. If you go to any surrounding communities today, it almost is non-existent. The days of that are gone. We live in a different world, a different culture, dual incomes, people don't work close to home. So our paid-on-call response is pretty much nil. So if you look historically, I'm going to round way down. It's in the 20% of times that our calls are overlapping, which means if one call goes on, another one is happening. And during that situation, there's no one left in the station. Reduce the number. So what we're asking today is to consider a millage, to put millage in front of the people to consider a millage that would provide us with 1 additional person a day. And what will that do? So if an ambulance call happens, we have the crews respond. It still leaves us with 3 people back in the city. Now, if a second call comes in, whether it be an ambulance call or a fire call, it still provides us with 3 people to respond. You cannot make any type of initial response on a fire in a fire attack with 2 people. In my career, since I've been here, I've seen several of them and reduced to 2 people. You're basically just spraying water from the outside and waiting. I'm not here to scare people. I'm not here to do anything other than give facts and open for discussion. So our goal is, if we do add that extra person, if that second call does come in, which happens 20% of the time, I still have 3 people. That gives them the ability that if any significance of an ambulance run, I can treat that patient efficiently, safely, and with care. If the fire comes in, whether it be a simple car fire or a structure fire, I still have 3 people. 1 person operates the pump. It gives me 2 individuals to advance the hose line and put the fire out. That is the request. Now, what if we get 2 ambulance calls in a row? I have 4 people. That still gives us now the ability to have 1 person back in town that can roll with the fire engine, roll with an ambulance, get that emergency treatment on scene, or at least get a truck on scene so when the crews come, they have something to work with. That's the sole purpose of this millage, to increase. Currently, it's 1.5 mil. What we're requesting is to increase it by 3/4 to 2.25. We met with our command staff and Mr. Patrick and the clerk to discuss this. We came up with a dollar amount and what that comes. By increasing that amount, that is what it would take to pay for 3 firefighters, 1 on shift per day. That gives us to the point where we feel like it gives us the safety factor there. We always have that buffer there. It also puts us in line that if something comes up, we're able to find funding for this next station. Now it puts us in a position to staff those 2 stations adequately. So the next question I think I need to answer is, financially, where's the fire department at? A few years ago, prior to my starting here, we increased the SAT. That whole idea was to increase capital so we could purchase things. At the time, we had older equipment, and the goal was to do that. And I want to speak to that, where we at financially since I started here. Since August of 19, which is when I started, we have made several capital purchases with respect to the SAT, totaling $1.2 million in capital. Capital includes a couple things. It's purchasing new items, it's paying off debt on loan payments, and it makes an extra payment. Some of the things we have done in this time is we put a 440 square foot addition on the fire station. The fire station was built as a volunteer fire department. It had absolutely no office space. There was no place for citizens to come to get reports or burn permits. there's really no way to have an office space or to have small meetings. We did that. The only expense that we had to incur from professionals, which was HVAC and electrical, and that's because we're a commercial building, couldn't do it ourselves. All the other sweat equity were with firemen. We were able to do that for about $59 a square foot. Add an addition of 440 square feet on. I think anybody in the contractor business can realize that's next to nothing.
It actually wasn't an addition, it was internal.
It was internal, but we
Right.
added that structure
Just so,
inside.
people might be thinking we built
Yeah,
something off
no, it was
No.
inside. I mean, we still had to do cement block, we had drywall, electrical, all that. But we were able to do that at a significant lower cost because guys were oversleeping and helped us. Next thing we did was engine one. Engine ones are older, it's 2013. We made a few payments on it in that time. We've also made additional payments. Now that we are debt-free 1 year early. The next thing we did when I started here, not only did I start here, but so did engine two. There was another engine that failed. It had some structural issues, was permanently taken out of service, and I walked into a brand new truck and also a 10-year loan, $475,000. We have aggressively been paying that off. Alpha One payment, when we came in, we also found out we owed the township $92,000 for an ambulance that they bought for us. We were able to pay that off completely. Exercise equipment, we were able to get a grant through FEMA, and even though it was $45,000, our share was $2,200 from the hard work of the firefighters getting the grant. Biggest purchase was a $611,000 water truck, something desperately we needed. The one we had was outdated, inefficient, and did not work with how we operate. We purchased this $611,000 with only $180,000 for the township. With Fire Marshal Kevin Cannell and us, we were able to secure this grant, and the federal government gave us a significant amount towards that. We purchased a new command vehicle at half the cost that was budgeted. We did some upgrades to our exhaust system. So when our trucks start up, we had to buy, OSHA have to have that exhaust thrown out. We had to do $8,000 in upgrade to that. Both of the generators and the EMS in the fire building had to be replaced. We were able to replace them with top of the line for $38,000. Both of them were expected those to have a 30-year shelf life. Desperately needed. And as we know last time, not only is it going to do the fire department, but it's also going to keep the water tower functioning. And then we also purchased a CPR machine Lucas device that was done with grants. So of the $1.2 million, federal funding of that was $490. So we have been very efficient and worked very hard with these capital purchases. Next, we move on to what we did to pay off debt. So I don't like debt. I'd rather pay off debt than put a bunch of money in the savings account. And we've, with the board, have aggressively done that. We've got some funding in from sales of property that the board has been very kind to let us use to pay off this debt. So engine 2 was purchased. We've made prepayments in 3 years of $163,000. That's just prepayments. That's not even principal. Alpha 1 we paid off in entirety, which was zero debt, but we paid off $92,000. Engine 1 we paid off a year early. The total prepayment reductions was $290,000 and the interest savings of $24,000. So we have been very aggressively trying to pay off debt. To this date, August of 19, the debt was $730,000. At the 3-year mark, we'll have that down to $179,000. Hopefully, within 2 years, we'll have that down to zero. So from a financial status, we've been trying to purchasing things that we've told people we need to buy, but also aggressively paying down debt. The next thing I want to speak to is our reserves. We are, without a doubt, a very strong financial fire department. And this is the work of years of budgets, years of the board working with us, holding us accountable, and the citizens supporting us. So through last year, and this is estimates, I work with Mrs. Murray, this is based on estimates. These aren't, they're within hundreds, but they're not thousands off. So they're very close. Beginning of last year, we were looking at a $990,000 reserve. Going into this year, at the end of this year in October, that number should be a little over $1.2 million. According to Gatsby, the government standard, we should have 6 months in reserve. 6 months in reserve is $820,000. My goal is to work with Mrs. Murray, and after this is to take money and set it aside, which would be close to $400,000 to meet what the whole purpose of the SAD was. That is now going to be a fixed amount for future capital purchases with the goals of never having to get another loan. What do we need to buy? Coming up in the future, we do have some things we need to purchase. A lot of it's like thermal imaging cameras, nozzles, hoses, ambulances are definitely something we need to do. We need to plan the future for fire trucks. Fire trucks, the next fire truck's probably going to be $900,000 to replace. Today, they're over $600,000. We need to plan for the future. We also need to plan for a second station. We will continue to to aggressively try to cut and save money. So the question that's posed is can we afford these positions in the budget? The answer is I can't. I can trim and cut and do everything I can, but I can't come up with $270,000 a year in increase to make these positions available while still paying off debt, saving for the future, and building capital. This increase in millage will provide that. Will also put us on a track where we will be very financially stable. So I ask the board to consider this, and over this time, I am an open door. Anybody who wants to sit down, go over financials, ask any questions, I'd be more than happy to go over them with you. Citizens to elected officials, I have an open door. We don't take it lighthearted, and all we ask is to put this in front of the citizens with education and let them make their own decision. Any questions?
Yeah, we understood the conversation. It really comes down to adding 3 full-time firefighter paramedics is gonna require 3/4 of a mil.
Yes.
And if that's what we need to bolster our A, B, and C shifts, I think it's necessary to ask for that. Not to mention the fact that really the cost of gas has gone up a little bit.
Fire trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a health and safety issue for all of us, for your department as well as the community. I mean, I think it's something we have to do just for everybody's peace of mind and everybody's health and safety.
You have the language, Mary?
Yep, I'll read the resolution partial. Whereas Armada Township is growing, which requires the continued and expanded rendition of services for the operation and maintenance of the Township Fire Department, as well as ambulance and advanced life support services. And for the purchase, maintenance, and operation of both ambulance and fire extinguishing apparatus and housing for the same. And whereas the current millage rate was set by the Armada Township voters in 2014 and expires in 2024. And whereas it is necessary to continue to raise funds for provision of advanced life support services for Armada Township Fire Department, including the purchase, maintenance, and operation of advanced life support personnel, equipment, ambulances, and housing for same. Now therefore it is resolved by the Township Board of the Township of Armada, Macomb County, that 1, the following ballot question shall be submitted to the electors in the November 2022 general election. Reads as follows. Shall the constitutional limitation on the total amount of taxes which may be levied on all taxable real and personal property in the Township of Armada, Macomb County, be increased to 2 1/4 mil for each $1. That's $2.25 for each 1,000 of the taxable value of such property for a period of 10 years, 2024 through 2033, inclusive to provide funds for the operation and maintenance of advanced life support services within the township, including personnel, ambulance, equipment, and housing. The estimated revenue that will be collected in the first year of the millage is $811,766. The proposed millage represents a renewal of a previously authorized 1.5 of 1 mil and an increase of 3/4 of 1 mil for a total rate of 2 1/4 mil. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Just kind of reiterating your points. So it's your opinion that we should have 3 additional full-time staff or 1 per shift
Yes.
in order to service the township to the abilities that you think is appropriate for
Yeah, I
a
think
level of
it's,
service.
in my experience, opinion, and I think it matches the command staff,
And-
it would,
We actually talked about a lower percentage. It was command staff that came back to us and said, listen, if we need 3 guys, a half a mil's not gonna do it.
So again, and then it's your opinion that the funding you have now, without cutting, which would hinder equipment, for example, that you do not have the revenues between the 2 millage rates, and that 3/4 is the appropriate, of a mill, is the appropriate increase to cover the additional staffing.
yes.
And everybody needs to keep in mind that the paid on-call part-time volunteer situation in the fire trade is no different than any other business right now. It's non-existent. And
Right.
we have become competitive. We've got a young group. We're finally getting reasonable wages to our firefighter paramedics to keep them interested and not leaving. So the revolving door has slowed down quite a bit. So we're moving in the right direction. But they would like 3 more staff further. And I agree with the chief. It's just a better safety feature.
I certainly support it because, you know, the talking points, I understood. And I certainly like the fact that we're actually earmarking money for the future. So it's not lumped together in a group fund. We don't get blindsided. So that's good. And I hope that paves the way for other things that we want to do in the future and we can start budgeting separate instead of general funds. I think that's a step in the right direction. One thing I don't want to be a naysayer, but, you know, we're going to ask the residents to vote for a millage increase during one of the worst historic times in financial history. I mean, people are getting hit hard with inflation. They may see this millage as just an increase in taxes. So all of the talking points that may get washed with other serious issues that they're fighting with financially. So, you know, even if it's on the ballot and for some reason it does get voted down, I wouldn't say they're not sending a message to you and to the
That's
way
fine.
you're.
I want to give them.
There's other things going on out there that are
Educated vote.
beyond our control, and we're asking our residents to raise their taxes, and they're struggling.
At the understanding also that the rate of inflation affects our ability to operate a fire department as well.
For sure.
So, I think so.
But they get to vote, and I don't think they're gonna vote a little bit more passionately, and I would just,
Yeah,
And the one
we-
thing-
we
and
gotta
one thing
recognize that
I
at
do
least.
like, and I've always liked this, our fire department has never operated out of general millage, out of general fund. It's always operated on its own budgets
Separately.
and its own special
Right.
assessments. So what the taxpayers are paying for go to that pot, and there's a clear definition as to where that money went. No excuses. It wasn't about something fluffy or something feels good or what we wanted to do out of the general fund. It's all about emergency services. It all goes to it, it all gets used by it, and it's all accountable.
and I think that's transparency and that open door policy that you have will help push this village through.
I want people to make an educated vote, that's all. Here's the facts.
Right.
and, you know, go ahead and vote how you want. Here's the details and facts.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you.
Murray?
Yes.
Swag, yes. Getzner?
Yes.
Granby?
Yes.
Better.
Yep. Senior event calendar refunds.
Yeah, we had a bit of a situation with our senior center director. On June 21st, I met with Donna. She purchased tickets for a Lansing, or a riverboat cruise that was to take place June 10th. She paid for the tickets. They were $48 per person, which included a turkey dinner, beverages, entertainment, and the cruise. She believed that she booked the smart bus,
But you didn't pay for the smart bus? How does that work
but,
typically?
well, we get funds for the smart bus. That's not the problem. The problem is she thought she booked the smart bus, but when they were waiting, she waited 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, called them. They did not have them down as a pickup for transportation for that date. So the seniors did not get to go on the trip, and they lost their deposits. Donna, because she believed, she thought she did this, she's apologized, I don't know how many times, but she would like to know if we could refund those people who did pay for those tickets, even
And
though,
Keep in mind too, that the, cruise line they were going with, already had all the food made.
all the food made, yeah.
Everything was ready to go. It was the day of. And I don't
Right.
know how they could refund any money
Yeah.
in that position, so.
So
Could they
mistake was
credit vouchers, or it's just too
Well,
late?
Well,
they have the
according to
expense,
the-
so-
Food was already gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
according to
Yeah.
the paperwork from the cruise line that
Yeah,
it
she's
was
unable
always
to-
stated that everything was a non-refundable.
So a mistake was made, but it was clearly not
It
the
wasn't,
fault
It
of
wasn't
the
done on
right,
residents.
it wasn't,
No, and or was it, Princess Cruise Line or the?
No.
right.
Well, it
Well,
kinda
right.
doesn't matter, was it the residents, and should they be responsible for paying, for that
I
mistake? So-
Do feel an obligation to make a motion to refund our senior citizens from the trip in the total amount of $1,872.
And that's gonna be taken from line item 101-794-771-000.
It's the maintenance.
Those are the ticket,
Senior
senior
event
ticket,
tickets.
event tickets, that's where it's gonna come back out of there. I'll second your motion, John. Murray?
Yes.
Swag, yes. Parrot?
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Really?
No.
Has there been any discussion on how to prevent this? Does there normally a
This is the first time
correspondence?
she's ever done this. She
Yeah, I know.
thought
Is there-
that she had taken
Normally
care
it's
of it.
correspondence
and-
that happens, written,
Yeah. She
Like
usually gets a
confirmation.
confirmation from Continental Charters,
and she didn't this time.
and she thought she had that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we already voted, but I would entertain other solutions,
Mhm.
spaghetti dinners, GoFundMe, some other avenue other than, you know, using taxpayer money and I understand it's a mistake, and mistakes happen.
Well, this is their money going back to them, their deposits.
I understand.
No, I appreciate that position too.
Right.
Yep.
I understand what you're saying. Pretty legitimate point, actually.
Yes,
Mhm.
I'll keep that in mind.
I don't think the seniors should be responsible for fundraising to get their money back though, so, as much as it's terrible, and it costs us, the township, but.
Maybe now brainstorm.
Yeah, we'll work on something.
IT bids for township and fire department.
Yep. Jason and I started the process, I believe, in April, and we received 16 bids. It took quite a few months to whittle them down to 3. Jason had a matrix set up, and we scored them from 1, 3 to 5, 5 being the top points for things that we asked for in the RFP. The top 3 were Solve IT, Enertron, and Net Express. Solve IT is here, they have a few representatives, and also Enertron. All the companies provided quotes on all the services, the ones that we're talking about, that we requested. We met with the top 3 for one additional meeting to make sure that the proposals received answered all of our questions and concerns. I included the top 3 revised proposals, information, and after we met for the second time. It's a difficult position, but I feel confident in selecting Solve IT at this point, and I'd like to make a motion to contract with Solve IT with the startup fee, which includes the monthly fees, would be $24.6250, and thereafter the monthly fee is $12.6250 as presented. Also, if new users are added, the monthly fee would change accordingly. If the fire department wants to add another person, so it would go accordingly to their fees. Or if they got a new computer, if we had something else, that would be adjusted. But the current monthly fee would be $12.6250.
I would second that.
Well, I want to thank Jason and Mary for doing this. We've had real concerns about security and protection of our data and information here at the township, so thanks for sharing your abilities and expertise and helping guide us through some of this stuff. You know, it's not an easy thing to do.
It
It's
was a
not.
tough decision, it really was.
Right. It's definitely different now.
It is.
It's a new crime.
And they opened our eyes to a lot of different things that we didn't know that we should have included.
And I think we started this with with the attitude that we were looking to build a partnership and a relationship. And there's 3 great companies that, you know, it came down to. So as Mary said, it was a very hard decision. But at the end of the day, you know, what we wanted to do was build a partnership so that we didn't actively have to go and seek help or assistance or know when we're attacked. We're looking for that partner to come to us when things are hot or if there's something out there that we should know of. You know, we needed that heartbeat and awareness. Security training was a priority on our list, but also just the visitations, you know, just getting to know who your partner is in this space, who to go to when you have problems. We needed somebody who had that relationship with municipalities so they understand the local government, how things are working, and some of the pains that we had with other providers too. So those all came into consideration. The matrix kind of takes, you know, all of the passion out of the way and just looks at the facts and the numbers, and you never really know who the true partners are. You just see a number. And ultimately, the matrix helps you make that decision. So,
So our current IT provider was actually made a significant change to their rates, and they would actually be more than the recommended contractor as far as the annual fee, is that correct?
Yeah, our current, they've given us a couple of price quotes, and I don't have that information in front of me. They said if we act now, here's a price, if we act later, here's
It's
a
more.
price.
But they were both.
And the later price was
Oh,
higher
okay.
than.
And so the low bidder, I guess, is this the low bidder or the lowest qualified bidder?
Actually, a little bit of both. It was the lowest bidder, true, but it was also, they're all qualified. You know, after you got more into the services that everybody provided, and I'm just gonna pick on, I'll select Enetron because, Mike is sitting right here. The company, what they do for the community, where they're at, and the type of involvement that they have. It's a great company. So when you start looking about who they are and what they do, it really does become more than a number, you know, and in that regard, you know, I respected, you know, who you guys are and what you do for this community. It was a hard choice, but, you know, but again, you know, we all look at the bottom line. We're like, you know, during these financial crises, where do we fall and you know, where do we get our best deal? So at the end of the day, it's gonna be a financial decision, but
That's one of
there's
the,
more than a number, is what I'm trying to say, you know.
but there's
behind these companies.
backup to all of our data, like a cloud storage type
For
thing?
sure.
Everything.
So, we won't run into the issues that we've had previously where we can't
Right.
find backup data. We'll be able to respond to FOAs, rightfully quick. Email will be protected. Loss of data will be eradicated from our infrastructure. The integrity, the confidentiality, things will be taking place. We're also working with our, you know, if we go with any one of these partners, that relationship is what we are looking for, so a roadmap. For instance, our IT department is sitting right here in the public space. It's not the best space to put it, you know, so we can safeguard it somewhere else, and that's the type of people that we're looking for, somebody that can bring this to our attention and say, hey, did you know that your IT department is right here and I can just kick it and break it? So let's move it to a more safer area that it's not so exposed. Same thing with the Wi-Fi. There's a lot of issues that we found, and you know, we don't want to find these issues. We want the partners to find it for us and tell us, hey, this is where you are now. This is where you need to go, and let me help you get there.
Proactive, not
Proactive, not reactive.
Right.
Exactly. Thank you.
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Select yes, Peter?
Yep.
Grimby?
Yes.
Geisinger?
Yes.
Now, talking about fuel surcharges. I need to make a motion here, for an increase of $2,055 based on a surcharge that was levied by the trucking company bringing the limestone in. Want to read your motion there?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the additional fuel surcharge expense in the amount of $2,055 for the Macomb County Department of Roads.
Remind me, didn't we previously, wasn't there previously an increase, or is this the
No.
increase that we had?
This is the increase.
Well,
Okay.
no.
Oh, that's right, they did
we
have it,
did- no,
we were
there
waiting
was,
for it before.
Yeah, the first
This is just the
suppliers
fuel
couldn't
surcharge.
supply it, and they had to go to a different
Oh,
place.
that's what it was.
His bid was higher, and now with the gas prices being the way, he's asking for fuel surcharges.
Yeah.
So yes, this would be the second increase this year on our limestone program. Doesn't change the amount or where we're putting it, just change how much it's gonna cost.
Select yes, Murray?
Yes.
Peter?
Yep.
Grimby?
Yes.
Geisinger?
Yes.
Conditional rezoning Armada Center Car Wash.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed conditional rezoning from B1 Business District to the B2 General Business District for 22920 Armada Center Road as recommended by the Armada Township Planning Commission.
Support.
So if I recall from the planning minutes, this was previously zoned B2 and was changed to B1, or vice? Yeah,
They changed it years ago.
2006?
believe so.
And when was this facility built that's there now?
Oh, I don't know, it's been there.
It
for a
was,
while.
early 2000.
So I just don't understand, wonder why it was changed. at that
That was done
time?
by the planning commission, I'm not sure.
Well, you had Garris's there too, it was kind of a building supply, residential home builder next door to it as well.
Next door,
So
but,
it was a little bit more commercial, and we had,
was that
North Center.
property,
North
Right
Center,
across
that's
the
right,
street.
yeah.
are those both zone, B1?
well, Garris's is right next to the car wash.
You don't know what
I
they're
don't know,
zoned?
he'd probably non-conforming if it was anything. There before they put the building in.
Right.
Did you want to share, Commissioner?
Yeah, it seemed like this was in the planning, report.
It
Right.
was,
Good
Would you like to
discussion.
share what the, request was by the owner to do? Just a brief overview?
wait, I'm gonna, they wanted to, hold on, I gotta find it now, this, paper.
It's an automatic car wash?
Yeah, but it's not
No,
gonna
it will
be,
be.
it's an
Oh.
automatic,
Yeah.
All quarter wash now.
like, garage, not garage, but you're not gonna have drive-through, it's not like you start here and your car moves its way through, it's completely contained
And one
within,
automated, yeah, one automated bay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
One automated
Bay
bay, but it's
three.
I
keeping the
don't do
coin.
A new one, it's
The
gonna be a
existing
new
coin
automatic, like the
base.
one on,
But he also wants to include
Yeah.
Right.
drive on the
Yeah.
east side of the building,
yeah.
because once you pull in there, if there's 4 cars in there and 4 cars
Right.
waiting, you can't get out of there. So
Sure.
if you pull in there with a landscape trailer, you're just there. So he's gonna put a drive on the east side of the property, that he has access to do a drive around, come back in an hour, per se, and try to get.
It sounded like they had, residential, participation, the neighbors.
Yeah, and then the neighbors said they had a very good working relationship with them, they had no issues. Going from a B1 to a B2, B2 does allow for other types of businesses, but the applicant has stated conditions that he would not be putting in a bowling alley or adult entertainment or, you know, listed the conditions, and the planning commission found that to be acceptable and, let him move forward.
And also putting it on the vacuums and redoing the parking lot, he's gonna.
Yeah,
So-
it's gonna,
Significant investment.
yeah, he's-
Just for clarification, because those exclusions, does that, because the B1, B2 stays with the property
Well,
regardless
this
of
is
owner.
all,
conditional?
all
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 rezoning,
conditions stay with the property?
yeah, stay with the
Okay.
property.
Interesting. Okay.
Like special land use or special.
Like a
permit.
special land use,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Okay.
Marie?
Yes.
Yes, Better? Jeremy?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Temporary help in the building and planning and zoning departments. We did run advertisements in the newspaper for some time, looking for a planning and zoning administrator or a building administrator. Sarah posted it on the, Armada, or on the Washington site, and Scott contacted Sarah and was put in place, or put in touch with me. Scott, although this isn't the dream job I always looked for, he has a background in village planning and management, village management, and downtown development authorities, and what, a BA and a,
I have a master's in public administration and a bachelor of arts in political science, both from Oakland University.
and what he's offered to do, because he's looking for employment, is come in and help us in the building and planning department. He has used BS&A. He has never been formally trained in BS&A, like some of us, but he is familiar with the BS&A software.
Have you used the BNSA building software?
Yes, I'm trying to remember the modules I had in my last place. The one I used the most was the cashier one, but I also used the building one, tax, and the other two I don't remember which other one I didn't use much. It was the tax, building, and the cashier were the ones I used. But just also on point 5, just have it. I'm Scott Zazak. Nice to meet you all. I am when I was up north in Escanaba, I was also chairman of the planning commission for Armada Township. During that time, I also received my citizen planner certification from Michigan State University. So when I saw Sarah posted, I commented, sorry, it's not full-time, but that's kind of what I was looking for, given what happened with my last position. But she said, we haven't had any applicants, can you please come help? I said, for an old friend, absolutely. I only live right now down in Macomb Township, so it's a short drive, so if I can help you guys out, while you're looking and while I'm looking, it's mutually beneficial. I met with the supervisor, understanding that I'll be here as long as either I can be or you need me, some I'll probably take away is if I have an interview somewhere. So I'll just agree on salary, so there'll be no vacation pay or anything like that, no benefits, just straight temp job, I guess. So if there's any questions, comments, or I guess the crowd is going to throw tomatoes at me, I stand ready to do so if you need me.
You don't have any problems with the evening planning
No.
commission?
No.
Taking
The only
that-
problem I
taking
have so
that-
far is the chair, but that's just a problem of being 6'4".
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
But then
have
again,
that
if I
problem.
remember watching the meeting, I actually get to sit in the comfortable chair, so I should be fine.
Yeah.
You can move everybody there. but-
That's always my biggest problem, is finding a comfortable chair. When you're my height, it just doesn't work out all the time.
Well, we talked about several things. When Christine left, her current pay was about $25.71 an hour with benefits. It was $33.13. Back in 2003, we were paying $13.37, and in 2005, $16.06. So we had talked about frankly that it's going to be tough to fill this position unless we get a competitive wage one way or the other.
For the record, I'm not asking for the competitive wage. So-
No, that was a fact, but the fact of the matter is, in order to attract people into this position, any people with ability, there's gonna be some costs involved. $16 an hour, I don't think it's gonna
Well,
cut it.
it's 26 now,
What's
right?
that?
It's currently 25 something.
$25.71, right?
That's
And that's
after
just-
almost 20 years of service.
And that's
Well-
base salary, not benefits. If
Yeah.
I remember from what you just said, your benefit cost included would be 33 per hour, so you're
Yeah.
probably looking closer to 40 inclusive.
But that's just what, that was a conversation we had about finding somebody to put in
Right.
this position. It's
Sure.
not gonna be a $15, $16 an hour thing if you want to get quality people, there's
Sure.
gonna be some backup. So,
Of course, I personally think that 25 is competitive for that position, 26, so. But we'll have to have some discussion on that.
But, so anyway, I did speak with Scott about accepting a wage equal to our deputies. And he's okay with that, to get us through the short term. So,
As long as I have enough to pay for gas and lunch, so with gas prices, that's what, 1,000, 2,000 a day? Should be good.
I get it.
So do you have a specific wage?
Well, it'd make $16.50.
Actually, Chris started at $15.50 and went to $16.28, I believe, after that cost of living.
Mhm.
So 16.28.
That works for Scott.
No, it's a little less Lisa on the phone, but I'm not gonna raise a federal
Yeah,
case
yeah, it
over
was,
it,
I
so.
thought it was 16.50.
No problem. Like I said, for something just to help out, I'm not gonna quibble over pennies. If it was a permanent thing, then I would quibble over pennies.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the job.
I would put 16.50.
16.50.
16.50.
All right. 16.50.
Because if I add in Chris's,
Well, that's kind of what I told you.
Yeah,
16.50, all right, it works with that.
that's,
All right.
Is that your motion?
I'll support it.
And you're gonna be starting Monday?
I was actually my only question, when we hear tomorrow or Monday, you say Monday, I'll be here Monday, Monday at 9 a.m. Sounds good. I'll enjoy my last weekend of freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have to dig my smoker out of the garage because my mother wants smoked turkey this weekend. So.
Ooh.
Yes.
And what time is dinner and what day?
And leftovers here? All right.
Leftover. Look at me. Do you think there's leftovers? I have to maintain my swimmer's figure here.
Yeah. All right, John made a motion, Sarah seconded to starting wage at $16.50, and Scott will start on Monday. Murray?
Yes.
Bitter?
Yep.
Grimby?
Yes.
Getzner?
Yes.
Right, yes.
Thank you all, look forward to
Thanks,
working with you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Scott, I
great.
appreciate
Thanks,
you coming
Scott.
forward for us. Trustee Getzinger?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Trustee Grimby?
I know that I had a lot of the IT vendors here tonight, and I didn't get a chance to introduce them, but I just wanted to thank them for their participation. And I believe Solve IT is still here, so after the meeting's done, I'll have them up so they can meet us individually. Also, I just wanted the board to know that August 10th, which is our next meeting, I'm iffy at best. I plan to be home from Alaska August 10th. If everything goes well with the flights, I should be here.
I'm hoping you don't break a leg running the triathlon.
That will, I hope, yeah. So if I survive the
Knock on
triathlon,
wood.
I will, surviving the Delta trip, I think is, what I hear is the next task. So anyway,
I've never had
I'm
any
just
issues on
throwing some
Delta.
caution
Oh my
that I
gosh,
may or
going
may
to
not,
fly
and
that next
I'll
Friday.
text the supervisor.
I never
Thank
have.
you,
I
Jason.
Thank you.
You lost my luggage.
Treasurer Murray?
The only thing I wanted to bring up, and thank everyone for coming and everything tonight, and thank you, Scott, for helping us out, but at the planning commission meeting, I did also, kind of bring up some talking points about, is there something that, it wasn't really a planning commission issue, but our parks, you know, I mean, right now, anyone can go to the park and have a graduation party, birthday party, a reunion, whatever. Anytime that I have rented a park pavilion or a park for any type of activity, I always have to pay a rental fee. It doesn't matter whether it's in the county, it's in a city park, it's in a different state, it's a state, I just always have to pay a rental fee. A lot of places, if everything's fine, you get part of it back at the end. I've rented, you know, like Lions Club places or something, and you pay a rental fee, and you have to clean it at the end, and if it's clean, you get your money back, or you get a deposit back or something. I really think that since we are like, I think the last strangleholder that does not do any of this, it might be something to talk about or for everyone to think about. Is that something that we'd like to do? I mean, we have issues at the park with things getting broken, and if nothing else, it'll help pay for the maintenance.
I think that's a great idea. I did reach out to Ray Township. I have a sample of their contract too, when we were talking. And I think it might be even in the park and recreation ordinance about charging. I don't think we ever set a fee though.
So it's something I think we can talk about and
Yeah.
think about over the next month, and, you know, and come back, next month and talk about it, and if there's any motions that need to be made or anything, but I don't wanna throw anything out there now and say, okay, I want your thoughts on it right now.
Right.
Just something to think about.
Thanks. Clerk Swift? And I'm going to have to make a mention about last Saturday's transfer site. I realized that GFL did provide a calendar to us. It was on our website. But creatures of habit showed up at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. So we did the best we could with the two roll-offs that were there to accommodate the majority. I want to say thanks to Jake Creel. When he came through with his garbage, he realized the situation I was in, parked his truck, got out and helped me direct the traffic off the road and offload whatever garbage we could. Our goal being just to get the cars off the road until the dumpsters were full. We got to a point to where there was nobody coming in. I even filled up my dumpster with the stuff I had to throw in the back of my truck. And then we closed it up.
What was the issue exactly? It was not
Because of
scheduled?
the 4th of July, they moved it back to Saturday. So the transfer site will be open this Saturday and on the 30th. It's cycled back, and then when you look at the next month, it's 2 weeks. This will happen again in October because
November.
of Thanksgiving. November, yeah, in November. So we're gonna make up a sign. We'll cut some vinyl and put a sign out there and make some folks aware of it. It might have been short-sighted on our part, but I didn't know it wasn't gonna be on Saturday either until I got the phone call, so.
But it is on our website, under the community page, and there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
thing
no,
for the
it's there.
calendar,
It's
so. And I think,
GFL has been.
And we put it on the front
yeah,
page. too.
Dawn-
GFL's done an incredibly spectacular job out there, which is why it didn't make sense to me they wouldn't be there. People look forward to seeing them there. I mean, they treat people, very nice out at that kind of, we've never had it run better, ever. So, so this doesn't fall on GFL, it falls more on the ability, we don't have a sign up at the dump stating days open and closed, so we might wanna take a look at that.
Mary and I talked about that today, and then Dawn actually also took July's calendar page and put it on the front page of the website.
Right.
So that it's easier for people to access and not have to click on the community tab, and,
I do
we're
wanna
gonna do some.
Thank also the women and men of the fire department for coming out. Boy, we had some garbage laying around there, so, which was kind of a shame. But it's cleaned up. We loaded in the dumpster, there'll be $300 charge for the additional dumpster.
Plus the
Which
sign from the fire department off
he
too.
reduced it just to get it on the ground for us, and we got it the same day I called. And then, the other thing is,
The fire
we had
department
the,
application.
Carl Cross in the Township Park last weekend, so we took the stumps out to the transfer site and dumped those out there too as well, so, the, restoration of the, tornado damage in the park is probably 50% or better. We are gonna pull permits from the, fire department and have, burn permits there with the fire department standing by, for all the small brush, because there's just so much of it. And that's it. That's all I've got. So I'm gonna turn around and make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:36.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.